Welcome to this retro review of the Wilco A380 for Flight Simulator X. This plane still has a good reputation, so we'll take it for a short flight, see how it performs, and find out whether it's still the best A380 available for a flight simulator today. The virtual cockpit is showing its age, and the CDUs are from an Airbus A320 instead of being an accurate representation of the system seen in the A380, but we'll get them programmed all the same and take this for a flight. We'll fly our usual test route of Stansted in the southeast of England to Glasgow in Scotland. We enter our departure and waypoints as we would in any A320. If you want a more detailed look at this, check out the review of the Wilco A320 on the Retro Flight Sim playlist. The only difference here is that we can't enter an arrival at Glasgow because the sim crashes if you go to the arrivals page on the FMC. But we should still be able to do a full flight in managed mode up until that point, and we can just vector towards the airport when the time comes. So all our waypoints are now programmed. We'll enter our cruising altitude of 29,000 feet in the initialization page, and then we'll fill in the perf page. This is filled in exactly like the A320, so you fill in flaps, takeoff trim, desired flex temperature, and it generates your V-speeds when you click on the soft keys to the left. We dial in our cruising altitude 29,000 into the MCP, and the FMC now calculates managed climb and descent for the entire flight plan. We'll also enter our destination ILS into the nav radio page along with the course, and before we depart we'll just check our takeoff config is all good. We do this on the 2D panel, which has a version of the pedestal. Okay, it's time to go. Throttles up to flex, and we begin our takeoff roll. Okay, rotate and fly manually in direct law until the fly-by-wire takes over, and then we'll apply the autopilot at about 400 feet. So far, a good replication of the Airbus, just as the A320 was by Wilco. Throttles into climb mode when requested by the PFD. Retract flaps at the correct speed, and we're on our way. True to the A380's systems, the max speed is displayed on the lower corner of the PFD, and the predicted vertical climb path is displayed just below the navigation display. These are nice additions compared to the Wilco A320's avionics. Despite having the same managed climb functionality as the Wilco A320, the A380 occasionally ends up above its desired climb profile during ascent. Still, we reach our cruise altitude by top of climb with the correct annunciator shown on the PFD. And we also have a predicted top of descent icon on the ND as well. While we're at cruise, we can dial in our desired final altitude onto the MCP. This is about 3,000 feet at Glasgow. We also complete our approach ref. This is the fair weather preset in Flight Sim X, so everything is pretty much default with calm winds. Top of descent arrives, and we place the aircraft into its managed descent on its desired vertical path. It correctly idles the throttles and pitches the nose down. As expected, the plane slows down to 250 knots for 10,000 feet. The only small issues along the way during descent were that sometimes it would level off, accelerate, then pitch the nose down with idle throttles, and kind of bounce between the two. But ultimately it did stay on its desired vertical path. At the deceleration waypoint on the ND, the plane correctly decelerates to approach speed, and we start incrementing the flaps as the plane gets slower. At bottom of descent, the plane levels off and we're ready for approach. We'll switch to heading mode and begin vectoring ourselves to line up with the localizer. When we're at a good intercept heading, we'll arm approach mode. And with localizer and glide slope alive and the landing system displayed on the PFD, the plane begins its final approach. We've armed autopilot 2, so we should get an auto land at the airport when we touch down. The land annunciator appears on the PFD at 400 feet. and this should be replaced by flare at about 50 feet above the tarmac.
100, 50, 40, 30, 20, retard.
Throttles to idle, then reverses on as soon as the plane hits the tarmac. And that's a successful landing in the Wilco A380 for Flight Simulator X. We'll take in a replay and I'll give my thoughts about this plane. Although the climb and descent behaviour isn't quite as polished in this A380 as it is in the Wilco A320, this is still probably the best simulated A380 available to this date. Since the Wilco's release in 2008, the only real competitor was the Hager A380 for X-Plane, which got buggier as time went on because it wasn't updated in line with the platform it was based on. Although the Wilco A380 also suffers from crash to desktops at certain points, as some of its libraries don't play so nicely with Windows 10. Luckily, the A38X by Fly-by-Wire is just around the corner for MSFS, and it's looking pretty good so far. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this entertaining. If you did, please drop a like and feel free to subscribe, as I make this kind of content fairly regularly. Take care, and I'll see you next time.